All right, we are live. We are live on. We're actually live on 3 channels, Anthony.
Great.
We are live on Huddle Card. We are live on Thrifting Goomba, and we're live on Twitch, baby.
Nice. That is what's up.
So how you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm out here in well, I would say sunny Los Angeles, but it's been raining all day. So I brought the Pittsburgh weather here, apparently. It's like literally the exact same temperature here as it was in Pittsburgh, which sucks.
So nobody. What's up, Craig?
Craig, what's up, my man?
Man,
Good to see
Chart
you, man.
Picker, how you doing? Yeah, man, I tell you, the rain came in here. I don't know, 4:15, 4:30. I don't know. It was dark 30, man, and the dogs went crazy, man. They were trying to get underneath the bed to get cover and everything, and it was just nuts, just nuts. But we survived.
Imagine,
And,
man.
and for a little while, I had some waterfront property in my backyard.
Yeah, that had to have been a mess.
It was,
Yeah.
but it was okay. So, hey, everybody, welcome to the show, Collecting Profit. Your star, Anthony from Picksburgh, of the show.
I'm just a
And
tag
his-
along today.
And his co-host, me, Michael, Huddle Card Collection. Also, Thrifting Goomba. So I welcome everybody who's watching across the globe for the one in attendance and the millions watching abroad. So collecting profits. So if you're not know, if you're new, basically to give you a rundown, what this is Anthony and I are sports cards, trading cards collectors, and we are also resellers. And we thought, wow, it'd be a pretty cool idea to bring those two pieces together, because you really don't hear a lot about that, in the hobby, right? A lot of the hobby is more about collecting,
Yeah.
and we all know that there is that reselling part of the hobby that that a lot of people want to get into, try to get into, but they're not exactly sure. So we're hoping that we can give you guys some tips and tricks and stuff to talk about that. But we're not just talking about that kind of stuff. I mean, we resell collectibles, we resell toys, we resell plush. You see Craig Land Shark Picker, who's a friend of ours, in the chat right now. He sells everything. Collector, not a seller. Yeah, sure, Craig, sure.
He has literally come up with some major finds lately too.
He has.
Hopefully, keep an eye on his channel. He might be doing some videos on it, but he's been coming across some major finds.
Yeah, well, got some finds there in the sticks of Alabama.
Yep. Looking forward to being able to go down and meet him in person next month. That'll be pretty interesting, and then I'll get to meet up with you a couple days later, since we've already hung out in person.
Yeah. So before we get started, Anthony, why don't you introduce yourself to the gang?
For anybody that doesn't know me, my name's Anthony. My YouTube channel is Picksburgh. I do a lot of content on sports cards, but also selling on eBay and other platforms. I like to go a lot of card shows across the country. I also go to flea markets and places like that, set up, sell cards and other items, stuff like that. So if you're into any of that, make sure you come on over to Picksburgh and give me a follow. Originally started with the name because I'm a picker from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So, Anthony, you man, are they doing more than coffee than where you are? What are they remodeling at the same time? One hell of a barista.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's LA. You never know what's going to go.
So, Anthony, I have a pinned comment from Instagram, and you had posted, or you talked about it last week about a giveaway that we are running. Before we get going with the show and everything, why don't you, clue everybody in on what is happening?
Sure. So Michael and I are friends with awesome group. Uh, a guy who runs a Facebook group, I should say, over in the Philippines, and really awesome guy. This is a person that like I know personally that I would vouch for in the hobby. So one thing we're trying to do is trying to help other people, because I believe more in a helping hand, helps everybody get along. So essentially, what we're doing is we're going to do a three-way collaboration giveaway. Um, we're going to give away a graded TGT slab here on Huddle Card Collection. We're going to give away one on Picksburgh, and we're going to give away one in his Facebook group. And that would be the Earth Ballers Philippines Facebook group. So, again, this is going to be something that we might even do collaborations with here on YouTube. Some of these guys who are avid NBA card collectors from abroad. Michael and I are both connected with another guy in Canada. So, there's just all these collectors that we are connected to all over the world that, would be awesome to be able to showcase to you guys. So, it's going to be pretty cool to be able to introduce you to this gentleman named OJ. He's really awesome.
Yep. So, Jason, welcome. So, what you're going to see is pretty simple. There's a I don't know if there's a pinned comment on all the channels, but there is a link to an Instagram post, and I will post it again to make sure that everybody sees it. Go
Everybody's
there.
eligible for this, regardless of where you're at in the world.
Yep.
We will cover the shipping, so you don't have to worry about that. Whether you're here in the U.S. or in the Philippines, or could be in Australia. Shout out to our guy Parabellum Gaming over there.
Oh yeah.
What's up, Cajun?
Cajun, how's it going? But there's a link, so go there. Simple instructions to go ahead and simple instructions to follow. And you can win. There you'll even see the 3 cards that are going to be going up, and it'll be good and everything. From that standpoint. So looking forward to it. So there was something I wanted to talk about, and it's weird because part of it goes against the name of the show.
Yeah.
And it has to do with what happened in Monday night football game with the Darren Hamlin.
Yeah.
And look, there's collecting profit, and there's the unfortunately the
profiting off tragedy.
Right. And now look, it happens all across the board. When Kobe passed away, right? People went out there. When Pele just passed away. But those, and I don't want to say, well, those are famous people or so on and so forth. And I understand what happens, there and everything. But to see what happened on eBay after this, young man, was basically, he died and was revived, and he's fighting for his life right now. And to see what's going on with his cards on eBay is just absolutely, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like now, so, if you, and I think there's a difference between, profiting and, collecting. Obviously, there's a huge difference there. But some of these people, and it is amazing, the prices that some of these cards have gotten up to. And let's face it, folks, we're not talking about someone who is at the level of in the sports world as a Pele, as a Kobe, as pick any other athlete who has passed away. And I'm not saying that really matters, but in a way, it does matter from a standpoint of is that these guys were already stars. Their cards were already going through the roof. You weren't going and buying a $1.50 Kobe Bryant autograph. This wasn't going to happen. You can say whatever you want to say, but it wasn't going to happen. And to see what some people did, it was absolutely ridiculous. And the amount of listings that went up within 30 minutes or 40 minutes after if this was on TV was
Yeah,
crazy.
it's insane, man. I wonder how many of those people bought other cards too and just automatically relisted them before they even bought them, just to like capitalize too.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I couldn't believe, like, I saw one, and within 2 hours, or no, with less than 2 hours, it went from, they listed it at $100. 2 hours later, it was like 16, $17,000. And it was like a prestige autograph.
Yeah,
It was an autograph on a prestige card. And,
insane.
you know, the profiting off of a tragedy, I get it. And for us as resellers, it really is a fine line to walk. It really, really is. When you're now, it's different, and I think this is where the big difference is. When you're a reseller and you do this, you understand, and it's hard. You try and walk that fine line. But I guarantee you, a lot of these people, they weren't not your normal resellers. If you look, I looked, when you looked at how many listings these people had, they had maybe two, and they probably just threw something else up, so they just didn't have this one. And I think, it was horrible to see it happen, the way it happened. And again, I understand it's easy for you to go say, "Hey, Michael, look what happened again when X famous person dies, right? Barbara Walters. Hey, Will, how you doing, buddy? Again, Pele, Kobe, whoever it may be, a famous actor passes away and everything, right? This one, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe this one just felt different because the kid still has a chance to live. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way as you, man. It's unfortunate to see so many people kind of just jumped on this. Like, I understand, like, we're the state of America right now with the economy and just the world we live in. There's a lot of people that are struggling financially right now, more so than that are set financially. So, like, I understand the appeal of wanting to cash in on a tragedy. Me personally, though, man, like, I feel like God would honor me not cashing in on a tragedy. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
whereas I could cash in on like a card that's worth $1.50 today, guy gets injured tonight in a game. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, it's a $2,000 card. You know, I don't know, man. It doesn't fully feel right to me. But then again, like, I don't know. I guess to each their own. Like, I'm not going to judge anybody. I don't know what your circumstances are or whatnot. But
I, I
me personally, like, I probably wouldn't feel like super clean about it.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. If I had one of those cards, I would have just kept it, and it would have been nice. I would have had it, and also all kinds of stuff. You know, um, now
The
if
crazy
you, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the crazy part is if I go home and look through like my binders, I very well might even have a card of this guy because like I collect little pit players too, like even guys I don't know. It's
Right.
like, oh, okay, that comes out of like the draft picks pack, and he's in a pit uniform. I'll just go ahead and toss him in a binder or a
Yep.
box or whatever. So like, I could be sitting on like multiple $1,000s of this guy and not even know about it.
Right. Now, let's say now here's in my personal opinion, here's the exception to the rule. You, Anthony, go home, you see you have one of those cards, and in there what you do is you make a video stating you're going to put this card up, and the proceeds that come for that card, you're going to donate to his GoFundMe.
That would be cool.
You know what I'm
That'd be really
saying?
cool.
That
Yeah,
admirable. That's a great thing to do. That's a way to continue the work that he wanted to do.
yeah.
And stuff like that. So I don't have a problem. From that standpoint. If it was along those lines, but that's neither here nor there. Um, you know, Speaking of selling and stuff. I mean, it's an odd time of year in sports. Uh, you know, because you have some of those, you're getting those players right now where if you are selling and you are looking to list cards, you really should be considering playoff teams and now goats are goats no matter what, right? The best of the best you should always list. In this time of year, when you're looking at football cards, you probably should be thinking more of teams that are going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Those type of cards, in my opinion.
Absolutely, especially with your prospecting, like that's the best thing to do. Like you're gonna really think of like the teams that are gonna go deep, and I'm gonna bring up the Bengals for the only reason that Marty actually called them. We were doing a podcast last year called, picking apart the hobby or something like that, or like early. Before the playoffs even started, he's like, "Yeah, man, I just think the Bengals are going to make a run." You know what I mean? And he was investing heavily in picking up Joe Burrow cards and stuff like that. But when it comes to selling cards, it's the exact same mentality. You're going to be prospecting who you think can run deep into the playoffs, and you're going to start prospecting their cards. Instead of going out and picking up those cards, you're going to start listing those cards. Now, if you are going out to source cards, those are the players that you're going to start looking for, and you're going to really trust them. Obviously, you can pick a guy that busts in the first round, and sometimes it happens. All of us are a guy that's going to end up getting injured. Like any number of the quarterbacks that have gone down this year. But when you do guess right, like Marty did on Joe Burrow, it's very profitable.
Yeah, and you have to, and what's interesting is again, it's not necessarily obviously like we talk about, and stars are stars, right? Yes, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Kelsey, just to mention a few. But then you have to look at those other guys, that you might not necessarily, think about, collecting. For instance, maybe you don't think that much of collecting, Gabe Davis for Buffalo, right? But Buffalo makes it, and all of a sudden, they're limiting Stephon Diggs, and all of a sudden Gabe Davis starts having some big games. People are going to want that card. So that, so it's again, there's the star aspect of it, but like you said, it's the
Yeah.
prospect thing is taking a chance and looking at those other players
Yep.
that you normally wouldn't think of.
Yep. And also beyond just prospecting too is beloved players. Like one player you wouldn't think of like that I actually made good money on is Joe Thomas. He's a retired offensive tackle from the Cleveland Browns. So like he was like I was a tackle. That was one of the positions I played in school coming up. So I always admired like great tackles. So like I'm a fan of Joe Thomas. So recently, as I've been ramping up this eBay stuff, I've sold off a few like higher end Joe Thomas cards, and literally like within an hour of listing each one of them, they always sell. Like I've had a couple people like buy and then not pay for it, but then like within listing it again within an hour, it sold again. So like that's another thing that to really be mindful of is this player beloved? Because if they're beloved, then there's going to be somebody that's going to pick up their cards, regardless of what I mean.
Yeah.
Which style it is, which parallel it is, whatnot. Like for me, LeBron James, I'm going to pick them all up. For you, might be Fred Lynn, you're going to be picking them all up. So that's something to be mindful of. Is the player beloved by a large amount of people? If it is the case, then you're probably going to have an easier time moving the cards.
Yeah, and I think, you make a great point there of it is the players that you don't, that you necessarily won't always think about, are the ones that, believe it or not, like you said, there's typically, Joe Thomas is a great example. I bet you typically there's not a lot of Joe Thomas cards listed. So when people look for Joe Thomas because, he's a beloved player, their choices are, not going to be very, very large, right? They're going to be, there's going to be, a small number of those cards. So obviously, hey, if you're one of those people and you have at a good price, boom, Next thing you know, they hit to buy it now, and you said, they, hopefully they'll pay for it and everything will be good from there and stuff, you know. But I think,
Absolutely.
for the, for the most part, you know, the playoffs are interesting. Um, from a standpoint of is how that will, drive, some of the market. And I think, like you said, with the Bengals, if you do get that wild card team, if you get that team that people were not expecting to go ahead and make a run, that definitely, you know, will will bring more eyes. And especially when you think about it, Anthony, from standpoint, what in 2 weeks, or say, let's say, or whenever the playoffs start, all of a sudden now more eyes are on those teams than there were before, right? Because if you're in Seattle and you're a football fan and your team doesn't make the playoffs, but you're still going to watch, all of a sudden you're watching Buffalo, right? You're watching, I don't know who, the New York Giants, and stuff like that, you know, Daniel Jones, uh, Saquon Barkley. Those cards, you might be able to get those at a good value right now. And if those guys make a run, hey, you know, you can, I mean, are you going to, you know, that Daniel Jones autograph that you find, in Prism that you may have paid, $5 for, $10 for, $20 for? Is it going to go for thousands of dollars now? Probably not. But nothing says that $10 card can't go up to maybe be a $40 card or a $30 card.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing is if they're going to spike, this is the time they're going to spike. The people that are betting on their particular teams and their players. Another guy that I think could be like really hot right now, whose cards are already hot, is Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Buffalo still has not gotten over the hump. I think he has a lot to prove this offseason. And just like you brought up, Gabe Davis is a good young receiver. They got Stephon Diggs. There's just so many weapons in that offense, and I really think Josh Allen's got something to prove this postseason. You know what I mean? Just because, and he was like right on the cusp of making the Super Bowl just this last time, and then
Yeah.
he ran into the Mahomes buzzsaw.
Yeah. Boatman, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to, you know, this is that tricky time, right? Prospecting, prospecting is always a tricky time. It gets tricky, right? Because you know, you're depending on a bunch of factors that you have obviously nothing, you have no control over. Um, I would say sometimes in this type of thing, you probably want to go a little wider than you want to go deeper. Right? Just because it's one and done when you get to that point, right?
Yep.
You don't want to say I'm going to go out there and buy every X player's card that's $1 or less, and you go spend $150, and then they're out wild card round,
Yeah, absolutely.
So from that
One thing,
standpoint.
one thing I'd like to know, man, is do you do a lot of prospecting yourself, like regardless of like what sport that may be, like as far as like your personal collecting, but then also as far as like your eBay business? I'd just be curious how prospecting might play a role or not play a role.
I do. I have started to look, across the board. I mean, I'm more of a baseball guy, but when it comes to sports and stuff like that. Hey, Zach, I am more of a baseball guy, um, but I'm starting to look more into hockey, um, basketball, and stuff like that. I was looking into soccer. Now I'm, thinking, well, World Cup, I'm trying to see, what happens now, right? Who are those guys who kind of showed something in the World Cup? And yes, they might not, show anything right now, but, maybe their value is low to then maybe, reap some benefit of it, as the soccer season, continues and so on and so forth. But yeah, I do. I don't. I try and my problem is baseball is tough to prospect. Um, I think there's things you have to consider when you're looking at the buying and selling aspect of baseball. To me, when some of these guys are in the minor leagues, and if you get one of their cards and everything, I personally believe that it is unless it's, let's say, for the team you root for, or it's going to be a long-term hold for you. To me, if you get somebody and their card is hot right now, go ahead and and get rid of it, just because you never know. And a player that comes to mind from a baseball perspective is a kid called Jason Dominguez, who's a New York Yankee prospect. And at 16 or 17 years old, people were paying hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million, for some of his cards. And the guy, I don't think the guy has gotten out of A ball yet. So it's easy to get turned upside down. So baseball to me is the hardest one to prospect.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. You could really get burned in prospecting if you're in it for the long haul. Me personally, like, I'll do a little bit of prospecting here and there, but for the most part, like you said, when it's hot, I turn and burn it. Um, I got
Look who
OJ's in
has
the house.
joined.
Callers. Good to see you, brother. Otani is, man. Like, I
No,
definitely
no,
think
no, no, no. Otani is not. I will send you a message. You could mail them all to me.
that does. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Yeah. He sucks. Send him all to Michael.
Yeah, no. Stay away from that guy. I think his future is very short. So just go ahead and no. Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely like him though. He's somebody that I kept a couple cards of personally. But yeah, just like you were saying, as far as baseball prospecting goes, it's really hit or miss. Like Jason Dominguez is a fantastic example of like a modern player that a lot
yeah.
of people were chasing, putting a lot of money into, and really losing money at this point. Me personally, um, I'll grab like Pirates. That's about it because if they don't materialize, I have a whole booklet of crappy Pirates anyway that they can go in
Yeah.
there with. You know what I mean? So I'm perfectly used to having crappy Pirate cards. But if they do pop, and they're on any other team, I'm normally flipping them right away. And
Yep.
typically in baseball, I don't know baseball as well as the other sports. So like I'm typically not going to sit there and watch a game unless it has like a superstar people in it or Pirates. Just not my cup of tea to like watch unless it's like Pittsburgh oriented or one of my teams are in it. So um, typically I'll stick to like the Mike Trouts, the Otanis, like all of the players that are kind of established. And then if I am prospecting, it's going to be like the Wander Franco, the
Yep.
Julio Rodriguez, the Jeremy Pena, like the more proven guys that I at least know are in the league that aren't going to get me to like just lose my money on buying cards.
Oh yeah.
So I'll put all of those up and let other people kind of hold the bag on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just immediately transfer set back to somebody else and
Yep.
then risk his things. As far as other sports, I do some basketball prospecting as well. Like if there's a guy that I think has potential to be like a top 15 player of all time, I will start to stash some of their cards. One guy that I kind of a little invested in right now is Joe Morant. He's like my favorite non-Cavalier in the league. I just love the guy. Like here's my thing with Java. He's either going to be Kobe or he's going to be Derrick Rose. Like I just don't see too much of a middle ground there because he has that motor that those two guys had. It's
Yep.
just a matter is he going to stay healthy
Healthy.
for like a long, substantial career. You know what I mean? So like John Morant's like one of the newer guys that I'm kind of doubling down personally in my own collection. Okay,
Hmm.
I want to have so many John Morant cards. So one day if he does become like the next Kobe Bryant, it's like cool. I have like an autograph. I have like a parallel rookie of him. I have all of these cards that I can look back on and start to cash out on, something like that.
Yeah, and I think you know when you look at the other sports, I think when you look at um, hockey is probably also closest to baseball from a prospecting perspective in that they don't really have see, they don't really have cards when the guys are in, in the younger divisions. They do have some, it's not as many as as it is in baseball, because you have, like Bowman, and a guy could have 18, 20, 30 different Bowman cards before he makes the major leagues, with all the different parallels. And Upper Deck has the hockey brand. They really don't do all that, but they're the most where you can see a young player who is actually playing in the minor leagues, against other guys, and say, okay, hey, this guy's going to be good, or so on and so forth. You know, um, Basketball and football, you know, the truth of the matter is the draft pick cards that they have out there, they're cool to have. They're really fun. They're great to have in your collection. But for the most part, a lot of those, unless they're autographed or numbered or something like that, they're not really that, holding them long term is not going to be, because a lot of people don't want to see, like, let's say LaMelo Ball, right? When you look at some of the draft pick cards of LaMelo Ball, he had either on a black t-shirt or a white t-shirt. People want to see him, in a uniform. They want not a college uniform, but a pro uniform. I think that's different when it comes to, baseball, and hockey. I think where it's harder though in basketball and in especially more even harder in football is that although guys can get injured in baseball, guys can get injured in hockey, there seems to be that there's a little more injuries in the other two sports. And if you invest and then all of a sudden, you know, a guy blows out a knee, a guy, something bad happens to him, that could really affect you also. So that's why I mean, again, if it's a player that you think you're going to want to collect also, that you believe, hey, in the future, I could get some value out of this player also, I think then it's cool, to go deep, but I still think it's better, like I said, to go wide and stuff, because I think, in the long run, it's the safest bet. Like you had said about a whole bunch of things. I remember there was a baseball prospect. Yeah, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but and this was back in the 90s, and there was a guy who was in the news, and when you'd go to shows, there was all kind of talk about, there was this one collector, and he went and bought like 1,000 rookie cards of this one player. Like, he was buying every single rookie card of this player that he could find. The guy never made it out of Double-A baseball. He retired like a year and a half after. So,
That
that's how bad it
sucks.
was. Hey,
Yeah, what's
Brandon. Hey,
up,
go. How you
Brandon?
doing, buddy?
There was a good
Um,
question here in the chat by GZ. It says, is it wrong to collect cards based on if a player is involved in criminal activity, or, for example, collecting Brittany Griner cards or Trevor Bauer drama? Personally, I mean, I say collect what you like. There's tons of people out there that collect the Mark Jackson card just because it has the Hernandez brothers on it,
mhm.
or like a certain card for a certain reason. Player I can think of off the top of my head is Aaron Hernandez, or like, say, if you collect wrestling cards, Chris Benoit. You know what I mean? Like, that people that have just done some like heinous act. There's also a set out there that's like literally serial killer cards. It's
Yeah.
like, Ted Bundy and like every serial killer you can think of. Like, so people collect all kinds of weird stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't condemn people based on what they collect. Might not be my cup of tea, but then again, my cup of tea is trash cards of Pittsburgh Steelers and Cavaliers. So, you know, that might not be your cup of tea. So,
No, but I think you make a good point, and I think, Henry Ruggs is another one. right? Henry Ruggs is another guy when you talk about it and stuff. And is it wrong to collect him? I think that's the thing, what you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about, collecting them, so you can collect them all you want. It's not wrong. That's a personal thing. Will they have value if you ever decide you want to get rid of them? Maybe long term, further down the road, but typically not, soon after, they did whatever they did, from that standpoint, So I think that's the difference between, you know, I always say, look, collect what you like to collect, not what you think you should collect. If
Absolutely.
you like, pick any set that's not very valuable. You know, prestige football is not a very valuable set, right? But if you love prestige football, buy the hell out of it. Buy every box you could find, rip every box you could find. Who really cares? I mean, you know, I I, I don't collect stars. I mean, I collect good players. I mean, my favorite player, the one that I love to there's two guys that I really love to collect the most. An old school guy, Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn was a guy that became my favorite player, when I was 11 years old. And Fred Lynn's not a superstar. I try and buy, his cards, ones that I do not have. From a newer perspective, it's Michael Chavis, who plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. He's a family friend. He doesn't, so I mean, we know him. He's been at my house. He's been right back over here behind me, and stuff before. So I collect those guys. I'm not collecting them with the idea that I'm going to turn around and sell that collection for, a crap ton of money. That's not what the thought process is. So I think collecting and investing are two different pieces to me, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You know, you muted.
I was just saying I completely agree with you. And honestly, it's a smart move to buy what you like, because I can tell you from experience, like, going through like when the pandemic and, everything was hot, you could turn a profit on basically any player. I can't tell you how many players I picked up, like a Michael Porter Jr., who I could care less about. You know
Right.
what I mean? Just because that was like the hot, cool thing to do. And it's like, oh, now I have like all of these Michael Porter Jr. cards that I just don't give a crap about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whereas you could just be buying the stuff you want, and then when you have the opportunity to look back at it, you're not stuck looking at it like, why did I buy all of these cards? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. These are cards I really can cherish.
Yep. Zach makes a good point. Zach loves collecting draft cards just to collect Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, you know what? That's awesome. And that's what he should do. You
And
know?
there's a big market for that, especially because there's a lot of players that are great for, like, say, the Bulldogs or like any other college that don't become great professionals, but
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
still like some of his favorite players of all time. You know what I mean?
You know, Brandon Jensen is a big Mookie Betts guy. Not saying that Mookie Betts is not a good player and everything like that, but I mean, there's just another guy, who, you collect who you like, and it doesn't make a difference, to me, collecting, and it's because to me, when you have a card in your hand, and I don't know, maybe I'm just weird this way, but if I pick up, you know, this Bo Jackson card, which is a guy that I like that I want to collect, I look at that card different than if I looked at this card right here and it's, Pena. If it's Pena from Houston, right? Because Pena from Houston, I'm not excited about that, right? I don't care. But I'm gonna look at this different because I'm gonna say, ooh, I could probably turn around and sell this for a couple of bucks. I could say, ooh, I could turn around and put this in my box that's gonna go in the safe that's not gonna go anywhere. So I think there is a very big difference. Oh, the Bo Jackson there, Brandon. Hey, Sensei. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, I think there's a difference between, that whole collecting and, and investing. Did you hear the thing about the Luca card? that Luka card that sold for $4 million recently? Did you hear that story?
No, what about it?
So I can't remember the guy's name, but we're just gonna say, like well-known person A was the one who had that card and turned around. Hey Johnny, Fire Starter Breaks, how you doing? So we got Sensei. Thank you for stopping in. Johnny at Fire Starter Break. Johnny does good breaks, very affordable. Definitely go ahead and look him up. But so when the guy was in the break and that card happened, he wound up taking it and then selling it for, I don't know, uh $4 million or so, or whatever. He wound up, or no, I'm sorry, I think he bought it for like $3 million, or sold it and got like $3 million for it. And then it went back on Golden's auction, and then he turned around and rebought the card. And it sold for less than what he bought it for, what he sold it for. So he basically made money and has the card back in his hands.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so he bought it, sold it for a lot of money.
Hmm.
Then whoever bought it wanted to resell it. The market was not, he sold it at the height of the market. Market
Hmm.
market corrected itself a little bit. They put it back up for sale, and he rebought it for less than what he initially sold it for.
That's awesome. I mean, it's good for him. It sucks for the guy that bought it. Or,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
that sold it. Yeah.
Yeah, Sensei, you're right. And that cardflation,
Yep.
that was a tough one. That was definitely tough. What do we got here? Is Fanatics allowed to sign players to NIL deals in college and make amateur cards? Wow.
I
Huh.
believe so. Tops is already doing that with Bowman right now. Like if you get any Bowman U products, there'll be like guys like Will Levis who's still in college, or like any number of the younger guys. There's typically 2 years of draft classes coming out now,
Yep.
and that's typically on the top side. I would imagine Panini would, or not Panini, but Fanatics would adopt that, being that they own Tops now. So I would think that that's going to be the case.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how things start to change even more. You know what? As Panini starts to lose basketball and then they lose football, and it all goes to Fanatics. That's really, I think, it's going to be interesting. That's the next interesting point, I think, in the hobby. The turning point when you have one company who has all the rights to those three sports. That's
Yeah,
going to be very, very interesting.
yeah, absolutely.
And especially the Fanatics, Fanatics says they want cards everywhere.
Hmm.
I
I
mean, you
mean,
go in
personally,
now.
if I'm Fanatics, like I'm targeting all the arenas and stuff. Let the sports teams sell the cards to their own people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like I've already seen team sets and stuff for years at stadiums. I mean, if you look at it, people that buy sports cards, they are the demographic that goes to sporting events. If I was them, I'd be filling every stadium, arena, like all those places across the country.
Zach, they do. They do, Zach. I mean, like here's Bowman U. It's Bowman U football and Bowman U basketball. The guys are in their college uniforms.
Or do they have the actual logo on there though? Like I don't know if they can they use that due to trademark? I think
Oh,
that's
I
what he
see what
was
you're
asking.
saying. That. Oh, okay.
So I
No,
think sometimes they'll just like Photoshop it off of them.
nope. Actually, like when you look at this kid right here, I'm looking at the back of his cards. It it doesn't even say what school he's for, even on the back. I did not notice that. Yeah, because if you look if you look kind of right here where there would be something, you can see, look, there's a spot there, right? And usually that would be some kind of logo. Um, that would be a logo of like Big Ten or SEC or something along those lines. Yeah, it has the color but no logo. You're right. It's not. Brandon, you are a very smart young feller.
I would imagine within the next several years, once licensing starts coming their way, plus I think NIL is really in its infancy. I really think they're going to find more ways to monetize their likenesses. College programs right now, like a lot of the ones that aren't like the major programs, they really suffer for donors and money and stuff like that. So I really could see, even the colleges trying to dip their hands into this NIL money at some point too, to see if they can't monetize things a little bit further. So I would not be shocked if one day there is a college product that does have, all of the proper licensing and stuff like that.
So two things, Brandon. What you're saying here is, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not that you're not smart enough to invest. It's the thing is that to really invest in those cards, you need a good chunk of change, right? It's because the players are who they are right now, right? You're not gonna buy Luka for cheap. You're not gonna buy, John Morant for cheap. Now, what I mean by that is the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to be worth the money, the one of one, the autograph with the the logo man patch, right? Or or the NFL shield or the laundry tag, all those types of things. Yeah, that's those are the cards, right? That's the upper echelon. Then there's the upper echelon, right? The one of ones, the one of fives. Those are the cards that are the crazy friggin' money of the modern ones, right now. But to your point, to add on to that, you're 100%. I believe exactly what you're saying right there. If you collect what you truly like, no matter what, you won't sit there and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I paid X number of dollars for that card," because you don't care. You have no regrets because you're collecting it. And at the end of the day, you're right. As long as you set yourself up regrets because you're a collector. And that's where sometimes you get that fine line, is that you have people that were collectors who all of a sudden try to turn into investors, and they don't realize, how things have changed in the market. It's not like um if you think about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, or even more, when you only had a few cards of every player come out, right? I mean, now, you can have who knows how many one of ones of a player, because it's the one of one of the laundry tag, it's the one of one of the logo shield, it's the one of one of this, it's the one of that, so it's it becomes that and everything. And John, you make a very good point. It's it you it you're you it's paying for cardboard. And I think where guys get sucked in is you know they go and they try and they spend necessarily what they don't have. And that's where I think what happens is people pay more. It's like the Zion Prism base rookie, right? That card during the cardflation and everything went freaking bananas.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
And now you could probably pick that card up for what, 10 cents on a dollar? That what you maybe 50 cents, anywhere between 10 and 50 cents on a dollar, maybe at least
Absolutely.
half of what it was worth, if not more.
I remember I bought I don't remember if I sold my PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4, like right before the new system came out, and I made like $180, and I literally spent that entire $180 buying a PSA 9 base, and yeah, that investment didn't work out too well. Turns out like the PS3 or PS4, whichever one, would probably be worth more than the Zion now, unfortunately.
Right. So I think that's where people get in trouble. It's and that's where I said, the part about investing is really for when you invest in the rarer cards, not in the common cards. See, me, Anthony, probably a lot of guys in the chat, we collect the common cards, right? We collect the cards that are a little more readily available to us. We're not. I mean, I'm. To get that John Morant 1 of 1 or that Luca 1 of 1, you have to spend $15,000-$20,000 on a box. That's not going to happen for me. No time soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of my cards too that I collect are probably like sub $2 or $3 personally. Outside of LeBron's like the one like high end hussy that I have for myself.
Yep.
I am collecting basically every LeBron, but that's just because he's the best Cavalier of all time. And being a Cavalier collector, I really can't not collect LeBron. So that's really the only guy that I kind of go a little above and beyond for when it comes to spending. But I mean, honestly, I love my Anderson Varejao cards just as much as I love my LeBron cards. If that says anything. And his cards aren't worth anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure Marty bought me a one of one for like some $50.
What up? What up, Stevie? So we had a question here. If there's a new category of cards, would you buy if Fanatics launch them next year? Chess, politics, tennis, bowling, etc., or some other category?
Personally, I don't want to say that this category would be better than any of the others, but controversy creates cash. Pretty sure Eric Bischoff said that best. Politics, you know what I mean? Like, I've sold cards on eBay of Donald Trump, Joe Biden. It really doesn't matter which one you like or hate. Somebody out there either likes or hates them and will A, buy that card to either keep it and cherish it, or B, buy that card to do something really despicable to it. And I'm cool with either way because they're giving me money for it.
Yeah, and I think it matters what you are considering doing with those cards. If you're collecting them and you're a bowler and you bowl and you have league night on Thursday nights, you might be like, damn, it would be pretty cool to get in Earl Anthony or a Mark Roth or a Pete Weber card.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I know a guy that was buying PSA 10 Pete Webers like just a few months ago, like buying up all the PSA 10 Pete Webers he could. Not saying Pete Weber is going to be a bolo out there, like his stuff's going to go through the roof, but he's considered one of the best bowlers of all time. And if you are really big into bowling, that's something that I think would be really cool.
And he was like for us, we would know he was like the NWO guys of bowling. Oh, you want a piece of me? He was always, that type of thing. Do you feel when Fanatics takes over, they will raise the price of packs and boxes?
I really don't. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much higher because honestly, I think Panini is just raking us over the coal right now. So I don't think it'll be much worse than what we're experiencing right now with Panini. I mean, if you look at just the WWE releases, they started price them off at like an astronomical price, and now they're selling like brand new hobby boxes for like $200, of like sets that come out that are like guaranteed X, Y, or Z. So I don't think it's going to be like as astronomical as Panini. I think right off the bat they're going to want to get the collectors on their side. They're going to want people to think that this is a positive thing. So I think they're going to make it easier for the end user to get cards and make it like as affordable as it is right now, if not maybe a little bit more. I think where it's going to get harder is like the middleman. You know what I mean? Like, say a guy like me or Michael that might want to, sell boxes, on eBay or at card shows or whatever. It might be a little bit harder if we don't have like the proper allocation to get said product. It might be harder for like guys like that to be able to make a little bit more money, in my opinion. But I think the people that have like allocation set up, the end buyer, I think Fanatics' goal is to make sure it's readily available. Because personally, I don't think Fanatics they paid such an extra amount for these licenses. I think really they don't even necessarily care that they're making money on the cards. They just want to dominate the space. You know what I mean? At least that was kind of my perspective on it, because from what I understand, it was substantially more
Sweet.
than what Topps and Panini were offering on these licenses that they were absorbing. What's up, Pete?
You know what? You know what I'm curious about is, so Fanatics bought Topps, right? So there still will be Topps baseball cards, right? There still will be. There will be Topps. What's going to be interesting is if Fanatics does not buy Panini, what happens to the value of the cards that have the Panini name on them?
In my opinion, I think the unlicensed ones lose value. I mean, because if you look at baseball cards right now, you know what I mean? Like, you can get like a Tiger Stripe baseball card significantly cheaper than you can get a Tiger Stripe football or basketball card. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Because there's a license tied to the other
Uh-huh.
sports. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think in that regard, there's just not as much value tied to it. So I think personally, like, once they lose that license and they have to pretty much do what they're doing for baseball, most of their products are probably going to be looked at in the same regard that we look at, you know, say Prism baseball, you know,
But
any other Panini baseball.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that, what I'm saying is this, is that what happened? What do you think the value is going to be? Is, so you take a player, you know, in football who's in college right now, and let's say he's a freshman, he's the stud. In 3 years, he comes out, and that's the last year that Panini has the NFL rights, right? And now that those quarterbacks, those running backs, you know, those players that would have high value the following year, there's no more Panini. Do you think the value of those licensed last year Panini cards could have a spike, you know, to them? Or do you think all of a sudden, with the Panini name not being around, does that diminish the Panini name?
You know, that could really go either way. It's just going to depend on how, you know, the hobby looks upon Panini, whether it's favorable or not. You know, I could definitely see, you know, being that the newer cards are not going to have that license, there are going to be more people running and picking up the older cards because they do. But by the same point, you know, there could be a lot of people that, you know, start collecting and don't give a crap about Panini. You know what I mean? Just like most people that started collecting during the pandemic, they might not care about Upper Deck, Tops, or whatever, because they came in and it was like, you know, Panini dominating the space. You know what I mean? So any number of things can happen. I really think that marketing is going to have to be a big thing for Panini moving forward. They're going to have to give people a reason to want to stick with them, for them to really survive losing these licenses. Because honestly, I think most collectors look at it like they're just doing a cash grab. Like, they're not even paying attention to quality control. They're not, you know, even making sure that there's value in the boxes at this point. You know,
Right.
the prices are higher than sometimes you can even pull value from the box. You know, if somebody like Marty, who's the biggest degenerate I've ever met, is like kind of low key Panini striking right now. Like, if you've noticed, a lot of our videos are like Topps baseball right now. It's because they put out a better product quality wise. Like, you know, it just gets to a point where you can only rip so many big hits, like his Luka Doncic that like had a destroyed corner. You know what I mean? Kaboom is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A multi-$1,000 card. You know, that he had to buy multiple boxes to finally hit, and it's like destroyed. You know, so that just happened to him time and time and time again. So it's kind of gotten to the point now where he's kind of on a Panini strike, and he's just ripping a ton of baseball right now because the value's there. Because
Yeah.
you can get cards that are gradable, and now SGC has this Topps promo, and that's another thing. Like, does that mean something more than just, hey, two companies collaborating? Or is SGC and Fanatics in there because Fanatics owns Topps? You know, so that's something else that could be potentially on the horizon, you know, as a potential come up for Topps. Like, do they now have like bigger access to one of the big legitimate grading companies?
Right. Yeah. But Brandon, you say that, do you think the hobby will now forever will stay watered down, or do you think someone will be bold and bring back the, that part? So I think it could stay somewhat watered down. And what scares me is this: look what Tops/Fanatics did with Chrome Baseball Update. They came out with the megas that are $50 a box, and then they came out with a hobby box, and they have the exact same cards in the hobby box. The packs are the exact same. The odds on the packs are the exact same in the hobby box as it is the mega box. And, so they basically just put a bunch more packs in a larger box, and charged you more money for it. So I think I don't know. I don't know how they stopped. Fanatics made it, when Fanatics came out and they said, "Hey, we want cards to be available everywhere for every single person." I mean, look at where you see them now. Up Tops hangers in Walgreens, in Lids. Lids has all different kinds of cards. I mean, cards are just, Five Below had Prism football. So I think, I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, the only way they don't water it down is to cut back on the supply. And at this point in time, how do you do that? I don't know how you cut back on the supply. You're muted. Muted.
My fault. I was going to say, I think a lot of these companies, especially Panini, knowing that they're losing licenses, are probably going to double down on this print run stuff. Especially with what we've seen in some other sectors of card collecting, such as like the CCG, like trading card games and stuff like that, Magic. Like it's been really broadly publicized that they are overprinting a lot of the brand new stuff like to the high heavens, and that's really been affecting like stock prices. Some of these shops being able to sell like actual booster boxes and stuff for like actual cost, like what they have into it, because sometimes like the product's not even worth that because of the such overprinting of it. And the people that actually want it, they can go and get it like basically anywhere it's readily available. So that's been an issue, and I'm noticing it's starting to be that way with retail product too. Like when I can go to the store and literally get any kind of Prism, Optic, Select, any of the big sets like Bowman, Tops, like that kind of stuff, anytime I want. It's fantastic for me as a seller, but it also shows that they're probably overpaying crap with this stuff right now.
Yeah. Or like Craig says, we could just say, screw it. We're going to just go buy a whole damn storage locker full of vintage Magic the Gathering. We're also not
he crushed
as
them.
fortunate.
Craig, I'd love to connect with you on that, man, and hear a little bit more about that story, maybe in a video or something.
Fanatics by Spinini, do they absorb it into Tops or keep them going? That's a great question. To me, man, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. I mean,
I personally think they'd probably just take the IP from it, like as far as like Prism, Optic, all of the most popular sets, and they'd probably release those under the Fanatics name. Just like they're probably going to do with Tops. Like you'll probably see Tops Chrome basketball. That'll probably sell very, very popular. Tops Chrome football. That's going to be very, very popular again. So I would imagine they're going to continue that same thing if they do acquire the Panini stuff, and just re-release like the Prisms and Optics and all of the sets that we really like as collectors.
Yeah. Well, essentially, I think it kind of ties into what you said a little in another comment of the hobby survived junk wax, they'll survive this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the only thing that I'm curious about, though, from a standpoint is I think what made the hobby survive junk wax is, other companies coming in and getting the rights to, you know, the logos and stuff like that. Once Fanatics has it and they have, you know, and we'll just use the big three, you know, baseball, football, and basketball. Once they have that, who's going to come in to offer enough to buy it? I mean, you're talking, you know, if you know, it's going to be very, very hard. You know, hey Dom, you know, maybe that has to be, you know, a PSA. You know, I mean, like, you know, what other company could come out there? You know, so I think that's going to be, I think that's going to be, very interesting from that standpoint. That's what scares me is you know, it is going back to more like the '80s where it was really, you know, it was Tops, it was Fleer, it was Donruss,
Yeah.
you know, and you didn't have a whole bunch of other stuff else.
Yeah.
What do you do if Fanatics pivots and embraces blockchain and save money on print? So that I think there will be a lot of growing pains there because there are a lot of people who won't buy in. I will not become a collector of blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think there's already companies trying this right now unsuccessfully. As far as like, they're not card manufacturers doing this, but like there are companies doing this in like the grading space or like the marketplace space right now, and aren't having like a tremendous amount of success. So, I don't know. I mean, I think NFTs are something that are worth looking into and worth investing in, but there's also um, a lot we can learn from a lot of the industry's current failures that are out there. No, I'm actually rocking a San Diego Padres hat.
Well,
I
yeah,
got this as a gift for Christmas. I visited San Diego for New Year's, and my girlfriend's brother gave me this. He's a big Padres fan. Her whole family kind of lives in San Diego, so had a nice time out there getting to meet her whole family, and we went to the Jurassic World exhibit. So, yeah, I'm actually rocking a baseball hat that is not the Pittsburgh Pirates for a change, but it's only because it was a very thoughtful gift. I appreciated it.
yeah, but I think I just don't like when you talk about the blockchain and the NFT stuff. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow that stuff, so I don't know about value. Like I don't know if an NFT, you know, of player X can be like uh could be like the 1951, 1952, Mickey Mantle, right? Like I don't know if all of a sudden I'm sure there are NFTs and stuff that are worth, that people buy for millions of dollars, right? But I just don't know if from a sports card perspective, you know, um, if it would have the same, I don't know, same feeling, the same, I don't know. It just seems different, like when like I watched the video the other day. Oh, and Ziggy No says hello.
Ziggy, what's up, my guy? Good to
And
see
he's
you,
not
brother.
here, but he made a comment on my video to say hello to you. I made sure. So
Oh, nice.
I watched I watched him. I watched the video as his, and what the
Yeah.
video was of him opening up Thor cards, but they were on. They he all he did was take his mouse and he clicked on the thing and whoosh, it appeared and stuff, right? And I
Ziggy
was
loves
like,
NFTs. Like he's actually a really good channel for anyone that wants to learn about them, because he's super knowledgeable when it comes to that stuff.
yeah, I agree. That's what I think. I mean, I think people want to touch that card.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, if you look at it just like in terms of relics, like how many people have pulled a relic and not had the urge to touch that patch? You know what I mean? It's the same with like cards. Like when you own a LeBron rookie, you want to be able to like hold that LeBron rookie in your hand and like be
yeah,
like, this is my LeBron rookie. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like if I want to look at a picture of a LeBron rookie, I can go to Google. You know what I mean? That's free.
You're right. You're right, and I think that's the difference. And then if you really want to get crazy and you want to have it as your wallpaper, You use some you basically right click on it, you save the image, and then you do what you want to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So I think, I mean, I mean, I don't know if you would have, I can't see, I mean, you will have NFTs and stuff, but I think it kind of takes you know, um, I don't know, it takes it out of the whole, again, it's like that, it's holding that card. There's just no other way about it. I mean, like I went ahead and I was in a break and I got an NFT. I got a blockchain on Panini, and it was a Josh Jacobs card. So I put it in and everything, and I'm like, okay, now what?
Mhm.
What do I do now? I mean, I have the blockchain card, but woo, stuff like that.
I did that once. I bought I think it was a select hobby box of WWE off of their Shop Zone, and they're giving away like a free. I think it might have been through Candy or something, like one of the NFT places, like a WWE. Like you open a pack and you got like one free card or something like that for spending like over $100 or whatever with them. So
Yep.
I ended up getting like one free card, and it was like a WWE belt or something like that, but it was like a special edition one that like literally I was able to sell and make like half the money in my hobby box pack just because like it's cool, but like it's just not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Nothing against like anyone else who is like into the NFT stuff, because I mean there's probably a lot of people that look at me like, dude, like you collect baseball cards. That's like stuff 12-year-olds do. You know what I mean? Like so this is just like I guess like a more refined version of the same thing. It's the difference between, are you a book reader or are you like a Kindle reader? You know what I mean? Like it's you know essentially a similar type of thing. It's just, with the market being so shaky with the actual physical item, it just makes me more scared for the
You speak his
digital item.
name, and
There
he
he is,
shows.
the man, the myth, the legend. What is up, Ziggy? Good to see you, man.
Oh, Brandon makes a point. You wake up to you rip a pack, and you got $100,000 card. What do you do if it's not a player that you collect?
I put it on eBay. Look at
Yeah.
Mac Jones. Like, there's a kid that hit a Mac Jones 101 Black Prism, sold that for I think over $100,000, and that card tanked. And
Yeah.
he's made like considerable amount of money. Like for me, to like keep a big card like that, it would have to be somebody that like I believe in, or somebody that I personally collect. If not, I'd go straight to eBay. Happy New Year, Ziggy.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Ziggy. Yeah, I sell it, man. And I mean that. Because I think of all the things that I could do. I mean, and I think probably part of it is it's just that's one of those things where you made the point of is that if it's not I guess why we said earlier, if it's not a player that I'm going to be a long-term hold on, I might as well strike while the iron's hot and don't look back. Brandon, you mentioned it earlier about no regrets. There's no regrets, right? There's no regrets. You sell it and you know what? And if you sell it for $100,000 and somebody goes ahead and turns around and 2 years later, 3 years later, it's worth $300,000. Hey, good for them. You got your money. You did what you want to do. Don't sweat it.
Yep. Absolutely, Ziggy. It's the same game I'm playing.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, that's the way, that's what I say, it's that, it's, the hobby, there has always been an investment part of the hobby as far as I know, as far as I go back. Like I had mentioned last time, I I remember going to I remember, not the first time I did it, but I remember, back in, 1975, 1976, going with my friends, getting on our bikes, going to the candy store and buying a pack of cards up at the candy counter. And what was cool is it was a cellophane pack. And you would look and you'd go, ooh, look, here's a New York Met player. I didn't care. You bought that one. You didn't look at a card and go, oh my gosh, that's Tom Seaver. In 5 years, his card's going to be worth X number of dollars. No. And you gave the guy $1 and he gave you change and a pack of cards. Well, I wouldn't say you're not crazy, Brandon. Right? So, so when you think about so it was more about collecting. There's always been an investment portion. I just think the investment part of the hobby has really grown, a lot, in the recent years. I don't know how much of a collector's hobby it will go back to. Because if there is somebody who's gonna and what's gonna stop that, Brandon, is very, very simple. What's gonna stop that is right here. Because if you're gonna pull $100,000 card, you're gonna sell that sucker and take the money and do something else with it. And that's the never hit 100K card today, get 50K back in karma and taxes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You are 100%, correct and everything. And that's why, like, there's a channel that I watch, Autographs 2000, Scott. He does TTMs, so
Through the mail.
he does autographs for the mail. And some guys, and I love watching it. And he's not sending cards to Luca. He's not sending them to Zion. He's sending them to a guy who played, second base for the Kansas City Royals, back in, 1968. And he's getting them signed
That's
and
awesome.
everything. And I just look back, and the first thing that always comes to my mind is, damn, I remember when that guy played. I remember that. And I think it's, it's awesome. A million Mookies, $1 a piece, though. True. There is money. There is money definitely. In the TTMs and stuff. But I think what to me, it's that connection to the past.
Yeah,
It's that
I would
connection.
love to learn a little bit more about the TTM stuff. Like, for example, is there a website that has like lists of like, hey, these players are really
Yes.
receptive, and here's an address to send it to?
Yes. I don't know if he puts it on his website in his videos and stuff, but Autographs 2000 Scott, I know he sometimes in his videos he will mention the website and stuff like that, of where you go. But yeah, there is one. There you go, right there. So
Thanks, Iggy.
card cutter.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, and it'll tell you what's cool about it. And I have it I have it probably in my favorites somewhere. What a lot of people will do is they will post the results.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I sent 5 cards, I got 3 cards back, and it took 100 days.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to look into that a little bit more, because I have a ton of cards that I would love to just send out, and maybe get signed by certain people that I personally collect. You know what I mean? Like, if there's an Anderson Varejao TTM, like, I probably just dive into that. I have so many amazing cards of his I can send.
Yeah, Adam's Card Closet is another one. He does a lot of TTMs also.
Nice. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
I haven't like seen a whole lot of TTM style content. Like, I've seen a couple of the guys that are kind of local to Pittsburgh that do it, but
I bet you if we asked Adam to come on, he might be willing to come on and talk to us about it and stuff like that.
That would be awesome. I mean, I think that'd be something that'd be valuable to this type of audience that's looking to both collect and sell. So,
I will reach
and then maybe learn like the process of like, hey, do you send this to Beckett to get authenticated? Do you send it to PSA, which is better? What's the most affordable way to get COAs done? Whatever. That kind of stuff would be really awesome, I think.
I'll reach out to Adam, later on today or tomorrow. And I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would not have a problem.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And like I said, I know there are some that do different things. Some are, free. Some are like $1 a card, $5 a card. Obviously, there are some Hall of Famers, out there that, they may charge, more per card. from that standpoint and everything. Yeah, I think Adam definitely would
That's
would
awesome.
fly.
That'd be cool.
And he has Adam has a stupid collection, man.
Oh, I can imagine.
I mean, it's like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, and then and so and so. Adam's like, oh, you mean like this numbered card out of 25 of that player? Like, how the hell did you do that? You
That's awesome.
know?
Yeah, that might be something to give a little try too. Like I think I might personally try a TTM and just see what my results might be. Maybe
Yeah.
after we talk to Adam and I get a little more information on like how to do it, what are the best ways to do it, that kind of stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
Yep. No, it's a lot of fun. It's baseball players charge more than any other athletes. Hockey Hall of Famers are probably the best to send to get free autos. Yeah, yeah. In one of the discords, you see a bunch of older hockey players that the guys do, and stuff like that. But you think about it from a standpoint of like, other sports you don't think of, boxing, MMA. We just think of the ones that that we see every day when you watch a video. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
of the big sports. But I'm sure people
I'd love
say
to see a wrestling list of like through the mail. Like we'll send something off to the Undertaker, like
Oh,
Steve Austin,
I'm sure there is.
whoever else. That'd be
Racing.
really cool.
Racing. I know people say Richard Petty is a good one to that does TTM, and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'll definitely reach out to Adam. I think that'll be fun. He's
That'd
got
be
a lot
great.
of
That'd be a great show.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, we've been going for an hour and 20. Go ahead and start to wind down here a little bit. Petty and Yarborough both signed for Richard Petty, the King, signs for free. Wow.
That's awesome. That's
Wow.
really cool.
Make sure you announce it because I'm stacking up Dodgers cards to TTM, and I don't want to miss that show. I most certainly will. We will definitely reach out to him. Everyone in NASCAR is a good TTMer. They are all about it. Yeah.
If you guys have any suggestions of people that you'd like to see us bring on to the show and interview, or if you'd like to come on and you know something that you think would be tangible to the people that the show is geared towards, I'd love to talk to you as well. Make sure you DM either Michael or myself on Instagram. You can see our IGs going below there.
Brandon can teach us ice fishing.
Nice.
He's a North Dakota guy.
Nice. Get him live right from the ice fish hut.
Right from the ice fish as he's reeling in that crappie. Ping!
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. 85% of NASCAR guys do for free.
That's pretty amazing. Cool. I just got to
you
find.
You probably have a ton of NASCAR cards, I'd imagine, over there.
Sure. Maybe you can find some in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe. I can't wait.
Yep. Well, all right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Anthony, anything? Wax Pack.
What's up, Wax Pack?
He ice fishes too.
Nice.
So what do you got going on, man? You're in San Diego, enjoying getting out. You're going the.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm in LA right now. I just got back to LA. I was in San Diego the past few days. Getting ready tomorrow. I'm actually going to Disneyland. Going to like California Adventure in like the morning, and then like the actual Disneyland park in like the afternoon and evening. It's supposed to be like pouring down rain though, so I'm gonna probably get drenched. But I got a poncho, so I'll be fine or whatever.
It rains in California?
Yeah, believe it or not, it actually rains in California, and it's like right when I'm here, unfortunately. It's literally the same weather here as it is in Pittsburgh, which sucks. Like followed me here. But we're gonna go to a Laker game on Friday, which is gonna be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to that. Then I'll be heading home on a red eye Saturday night. Should be in Sunday morning, bright and early, ready to watch some Steeler football.
Push for the playoffs.
Yeah, Absolutely. I sadly, like, I love the Steelers and I'd love to see them make it, but I kind of don't want them to either because I want a good draft pick.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would like to see Tomlin go ahead and, I mean, it just goes to show you what kind of coach you have there when when you're able to do what he does, with the talent he has. And it's not that he has bad talent, but he doesn't have super talent. Uh,
So, Pete,
but
Steelers.
they'll do it. It seems like they'll do anything for that guy. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like they play, and a big part of them playing is they don't want to disappoint him
Mhm.
because
I
of
don't
the
know if you
fate.
saw. Have you seen the stats that ESPN put up on the Steelers and the Bears, like since the Chase Claypool trade?
No,
Like, so they basically had the Steelers record with Claypool, and then the Steelers record without Claypool, which was like undefeated, and then they had the Bears record before Claypool, which was like decent, and then the Bears record after Claypool, which was like they hadn't won a game, which is like super weird because Claypool's like a really good player,
I was
but
gonna
it's
say
just
it.
like
Yeah.
it's really awkward that like we were like losing badly. We trade Claypool for basically like nothing, and then we start winning, and they get him, and they start losing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. So for those of you who may not have been here at the beginning, um, you know, there is if you're on the Huddle Card Collection channel, um, there is a pinned comment up above, and we're doing a giveaway, a free giveaway, and I don't know, these damn dogs are driving me crazy. I don't know if he is still here, but Mr. Earthballers, um, in conjunction with Anthony Picksburgh and me, Huddle Card, we're giving away 3 different slabbed basketball cards. Again, if you go to that post, um, and you just follow these simple instructions, they're not very hard. They're very simple to go ahead and do. If you do that, you have an opportunity to win a free card no matter where you live. So we'll ship anywhere. If you're, like Anthony said, if you are in, let's
I agree,
say
Pete.
Australia. Yes, Pete. If you're in Australia, uh, you know, we will mail that card to you. Canada, anywhere, North Dakota, wherever you may be.
And we'll do more of this stuff as the new year, continues on because we appreciate everybody's support
Yep.
and all of that. And we just want to see the hobby grow.
Yeah.
Not only here but abroad as well.
Yep. Yeah. So, like I said, so Anthony has that going on. For me, I'm working on my inventory, because in a couple of weeks here, I'm going to start doing some rip and ships on Sunday nights. I got products, from 2020, 2021, stuff, football, basketball, hockey, baseball. And I'm going to start, going live on Sunday nights and doing some, rip and ships to people. Good prices. Basically, the way I'm going to price it is basically, what the going price is if you go to Blowout or Steel City or something like that. And I'm just going to add a few bucks for shipping. So, uh, you know, so it'll be good.
Awesome, man.
We will
Looking
always
forward
threaten. We
to
will always threaten you with a good time.
looking forward to watching you rip some fire for some people, man.
Yes, sir. So with that, thanks a lot, everybody. Much appreciated. Much love to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And hey, keep collecting what you like, not what you think you should. Talk to you guys later. Peace
See you
out.
guys.